China's economy losing further momentum.
This is absolute carnage. The New York markets are collapsing.
He was right. Markets went down, but he's not finished yet.
The guy's a gambler at heart. Maybe the real question is he going to blow up and just sort of piss this all away? You know, he loses on 4 out of 10 trades. When you sit with this guy, he is supremely confident.
Now it's time for the grand finale. Betting on the market bounce. If he's right, he'll make more than 30 million. If he's wrong, he'll lose it all.
Time in the markets is much better than timing the markets.
So it shows you that when you act on the emotions of the marketplace, you're making a big mistake.
Yeah, I think CIS says he's aiming for $1 billion. Can he achieve that?
Right.
Is it realistic?
It's 34 years since World War II ended.
Japan has come out of the war better than before, becoming the second largest economy in the world.
It's a boom, and everyone is here for it. Well, everyone, except for this soon-to-be family. They are traditional conservatives, stuck in the old ways of doing things. They live in a humble one-bedroom, are loyal to their 9-to-5, believe in the corporate ladder, and place their hopes in the traditional educational system. And they intend to instill these same ideologies to their unborn child. Unbeknownst to them, they are carrying the ultimate antagonist of the system they believe in. And it won't take long for their child to make them realize just how wrong their thinking is. Sis enters the world disadvantaged. And as with any poor family, his parents have put all their hope on him. They have no generational wealth, no real assets, and most importantly, nothing in their bank account. On most days, they struggle to put a meal on the table. And even when they have a nice meal, it's always filled with anarchy and violence as the parents quarrel over cheap change. And that's not even the worst of it. You know what hurts even more than growing up in poverty? Being poor while everyone around you is getting massively wealthy. And when Sis is 6 years old, it hits him. If he wants to be happy in life, money is the solution. Lots of money. Step 1, learning how the system works. Step 2, gaming it. Due to his situation at home, Sis has developed serious anger issues. If he's not able to manage that, his dream of becoming one of the richest people in Japan might go down the drain. The miraculous Japanese economic boom means people can splurge on anything, especially on gaming, betting, and gambling. This seems like the perfect avenue for Sis to channel his anger, because game arcades are popping up left, right, and center. And he desperately needs to win at something. Sis decides to frequent these local game arcades with his best friend, partly to avoid spending time with his parents who are languishing in bitterness. His grades degrade, and when he comes back from school every evening, he's showered with chores and physically abused and threatened by his mom. Her weapons of choice? Sandals, belt, and everything in between. Her punishments will become the catalyst that will usher in a whole new world for Sis. Who needs good grades? The system is rigged anyways. To compensate for the love he lacks at home, he makes sure he wins against all his competitors in the local game arcades. They might be better than him at academics. They might have a couple millions more than his family, but they can't beat him at Karate Champ. He's mastered all the keystrokes, he recognizes the patterns, he knows his competitors' moves, he can play the game with his eyes closed.
In no time, he's a legend in town, and everyone respects him at the arcade.
And this earns him the nickname that we've all come to know him with.
CIS.
CIS.
Like CIS.
Meaning death in classical Japanese. But games don't fulfill the hole in his heart. He seeks something new. something bigger. And thanks to his curiosity, he discovers something. A discovery that will help him make $33 million overnight later in his life. For 1 year, Sis has experienced what it means to be a local legend. Every kid in his town's street reveres him, but the thrill has ebbed away. There's no challenge, and that's when he decides to try something new: gambling.
We have the winning numbers. Are you ready for it? 4, 26, 42, 50, 60, and the mega ball is 24. You can also find the numbers.
Sis and his best friend have begun going to a nearby shopping center to hang out and chill. But Sis always leaves the shop a sad boy. While other kids get to buy toys, indulge in big purchases, Sis and his best friend can only afford some M&Ms before their pockets run dry. So he decides to try his luck at the lottery. That day, they buy some lottery tickets and go home hoping to win. And then the results come. They win nothing, and they repeat the losing game for months, every time with the same outcome, until a light bulb moment comes. What if he buys the entire lottery box? Maybe, just maybe, the numbers will match. So they save up some money and do just that, and the results are surprising.
One lucky person is the winner of the third largest lottery jackpot. Someone matched all 6 numbers in last night's drawing, winning 1 point.
They've won. Not only that, but Sis and his best friend realize that the winning numbers are actually the same in both boxes. The lottery game designers never anticipated someone buying a whole box, let alone 2 boxes. A 7-year-old has outsmarted them all.
And it is at that moment that Sis learns an important trading lesson. Every game has expected values and patterns. All he needs to do is carefully study the rules of the game.
And if he repeats that over and over, it will just be a matter of time before he becomes a millionaire. Sis is 11 years old when the Japanese banking crisis sends shockwaves across the world. Families sink even deeper into debt and poverty, and for Sis' family it only gets worse. Despite winning the lottery, they're still broke.
The money Sis won from the lottery a few years back went to fund their bills and a few new purchases, so they're back to square one with nothing. Tells you something about being poor. It's a vicious cycle that needs a lot of determination to escape.
On most days, his mother shows up in the house angry and bitter, commanding Sis to do house chores while she relaxes on the couch. His dad is always out working and they never even talk. Their relationship has fallen apart completely, and it's only exacerbated further by his poor performance at school. He's no longer allowed to go outside. He comes from school and goes straight to his bedroom to study. If he goes out of the house, it's only to shop what his mother has sent him to get. He loses touch with his best friend and sinks deeper into loneliness. Life loses meaning. All his parents care about is a traditional education. Get good grades, go to a prestigious university, graduate magna cum laude, get a good job, raise a family, die. When he finishes his high school education, his parents force him to pursue mechanical engineering at Hosei University. He obliges for his peace of mind, but he hates it. Sis spends his uni days playing games on his computer, and there's one special game he loves playing that teaches him another important trading lesson: Ultima Online. The lesson he learns? Always protect your assets first before thinking about building more. Always walk away when there's no chance of winning. One day he comes across an online platform where traders hang out and chat, and this is where his life takes another turn. This is where his metamorphosis into a legendary trader begins. He starts doing some research, learning everything about trading, even in between lessons in class. It was at the peak of the dot-com bubble. He begins trading stocks on the Tokyo Stock Exchange.
During that time, the Japanese market was rapidly growing and attracting interest from both domestic as well as international investors. so it was a perfect place to start trading.
However, it's an extremely competitive and crowded market, with many traders struggling to make consistent profits, but he doesn't give up, and after juggling between school, online games and trading, he manages to graduate with a marginal pass with a degree in mechanical engineering. But even before he breathes a sigh of relief, his parents get him a 9-to-5 job at one of his relatives' companies. It's killing him. The whole system is killing him. This is another turning point in Sis's life. He realizes that there's no hope for him as long as he continues following the system. It's designed to keep us poor, limit our abilities, and forever enslave us to the puppet masters. He has no money to his name, no girlfriend, no properties, nothing but the cigarette in his mouth and the matchbox in his pockets. But when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go. This rejection opens up his eyes and he realizes it's time to put his plan into action. Now is the time to rise up and conquer the system. They might have taken his entire childhood, destroyed his relationship with his parents, stole his girlfriend, and reduced him to a degenerate. But if there's one thing he knows how to do best, is beating the system at its own game, and now is the time. His goal? Making so much money the world will know his name.
Look, I'm not paying you to do whatever it is you're doing out here.
Fine. So don't pay me.
Excuse me?
I quit.
Sis has saved up some $30,000 from his mechanical engineering job, enough to give him some legroom after quitting. So he decides to become a full-time trader. First, get a workstation for his bedroom. He needs multiple screens for monitoring the markets. Once he sets up his studio, he starts learning about the trading world. He has high hopes. He's going to be a millionaire. He believes so. He must prove to the world that he's not just a degenerate, but he needs to start somewhere. And the safest strategy for trading is Warren Buffett's the value investing strategy.
Value investing strategy involves buying stocks that seem to be undervalued and selling them later when they achieve their deserved market price.
But this does not cut it. The profits are tiny, so like any newbie trader, he does what they all do best: increase his appetite. He starts making huge lot sizes and taking big risks, and he rakes in massive profits, but also huge losses. It's a +1, -1 vicious cycle, and after a year, he realizes this is not working, so he switches gear to become a day trader. This involves buying and selling securities rapidly, often in less than a day, but the higher the execution speed, the higher the losses he incurs. He seems to have ignored all the lessons he learned growing up. All he needs is a little inspiration before it all crumbles down. Even though he has good pattern recognition, he has limited market experience. He's stuck, but has managed to turn his $30,000 to $300,000. But if he wants to become a millionaire, he must level up, and that's when he meets another legendary trader for some inspiration: BNF. On this day, two legends meet, one already established with $2 million of assets in his account, and the other one just starting out with a meager $300,000 at risk of going down the drain. Sis has been trading for 2 years now, but his obsession with winning has made him lose almost as much as he wins. BNF, on the other hand, is cool, calm, and collected. He's risk-averse, carefully analyzes markets before making his trades, exactly what Sis lacks in order to unlock his true potential. Sis has noticed that BNF is not eating his fruits. Sis asks. BNF replies he's not in the mood for eating. He opens his laptop. Finally, BNF shows him his total assets totaling $2 million, but he's not able to scroll down to the trades. There are too many. As time goes by, BNF starts sharing his trading wisdom. He shows him some of his trading strategies.
The first thing Sis learns from BNF is to never set a goal for how much you want to achieve. Because once you do that, you've created a boundary for yourself and you will limit your growth.
He also shows him another trick, how to use moving averages to determine the trend of the price. They talk further about their dreams for the future and their plans for retirement. This interaction leaves Sis determined more than ever. He gets a renewed passion for trading. If BNF is a millionaire just from trading, then he can do it too. He won't give up, just the inspiration he needed. On that day, Sis makes it his mission to beat BNF in trading. He wants to make more money than the most legendary trader in Japan.
How did he do it? The guy's a gambler at heart.
Sis has been trading like a gambler so far, but after his interaction with BNF, he now shifts gears and starts trading professionally. He has realized the system will eat him alive if he doesn't watch out. His market of choice? The Nikkei 225. The Nikkei 225 is a stock market index for the Tokyo Stock Exchange.
It has been calculated daily by the Nihon Sheisai Kimbun newspaper since 1950.
He doesn't care about the fundamentals of the companies. He knows ultimately he's competing against other traders, so he relies on price action and price movements of the index. And to make his decisions even more accurate, he employs two strategies. The first strategy involves using moving averages, a short-term moving average of 5 days and a longer-term moving average of 25 days.
The moving average is a technical indicator that tracks a security's price over a time period and plots it on a line. This essentially smooths out price fluctuations and gives the investor a general idea where the trend is heading.
The second thing is about moving averages, and it's a very powerful quality, is they can suggest moments when the market is overbought and oversold relative to the average trend of the market.
Statistically, markets oscillate around the mean, and moving averages give you an idea of the current mean.
The 200-day moving average might be like that, and the 20-day moving average might be like that. The two averages combine. When this distance is greatest, suggests overbought, and when it's greatest on the downside, it's oversold.
So Sis checks for the crossover of the long-term and short-term moving averages and the angle at which they intersect. This means when a short-term moving average crosses a long-term moving average, the trend of that index has been established. However, this strategy has its drawbacks. For example, it lags behind and sometimes gives false signals, especially when the market is very volatile. On this chart, you can see the orange line, which is the short-term moving average, and the green line, which is the long-term moving average. When the prices fluctuate too quickly, the moving averages tend to form a straight horizontal line, making it impossible to determine the trend line. So to remove this uncertainty, he decides to add another indicator, the forex market, specifically the Euro-Japanese yen currency pair.
The Euro-Japanese yen currency pair is a good indicator for the Japanese stock market, as the yen typically serves as a safe haven currency.
Sis realizes that the Euro-Japanese yen pair has a positive correlation to the Nikkei 225. When the Nikkei goes up, so does the pair, and if that doesn't happen, one of the two is wrong. So to determine his point of entry, he checks for when the Nikkei 225 and the Euro-Japanese yen pair move in opposite directions, and that tells him the Nikkei 225 will correct itself. With his new strategies now established, his life is about to change forever. The once destitute academic failure has climbed up the food chain to become a millionaire. His new trading strategies have proved their effectiveness. He's bought a nice house for himself. However, from the outside, apart from his nice place, he still seems like a normie, still rolls around in his pajamas, drives a Toyota, and has begun dating someone. Money to him is just a high score in a game. It's like he's in the Matrix and he is Neo. As he reminisces about his past, he remembers how his girlfriend rejected him for a guy with a Bugatti. Now he can buy 10 Bugattis if he wants. He's the girlfriend snatcher now. And his new girlfriend is not only beautiful, but also a die-hard fan of his career. He is deeply in love. Life is good. He picks up his computer to check his trades, and then he notices something. Someone at Mizuho Securities has made a costly typing mistake. Rather than selling a single share of a small recruiting company called JCOM for 610,000 yen, Mizuho has offered 600,000 shares for 1 yen each. It must be an error. He quickly jumps from his pool lounge and rushes to his bedroom where his workstation is. He buys 3,300 shares, about a quarter of the actual total at the limit low price. The correction is made and then the price goes back to normal. Within 10 minutes, Sis adds another 600 million yen to his account and he goes back to his swimming pool lounge with his wine. I mean, who can beat him in this game? He sips his expensive wine and continues chilling, listening to some beautiful music. The thrill is everything. He has become addicted to trading and winning. He can't stop. And the more he trades, the bigger his risk appetite grows. But it gets harder and harder to win. He'd need to execute a trade close to perfection to move his net worth significantly.
Tokyo prosecutors have raided several Livedoor locations, Hori's home, and the homes of other Livedoor and subsidiary executives on suspicions of securities fraud.
No one saw it coming, not even Sis. Livedoor was one of the leading internet providers in Japan. Its exponential growth was attributed to acquisitions and stock swap mergers, making it one of the country's most controversial enterprises. Turns out it was all a hoax, not real growth.
And Sis missed that because he only checks the technical price movements, not the fundamentals. You see, the technical analysis only shows you the market reaction. It doesn't show you how the actual company is doing.
And so when prosecutors begin investigating the company, all hell breaks loose. The stock price of the company nosedives and investors begin selling like crazy. At one point, the volumes are so large that the Tokyo Stock Exchange system collapses and the stop logic functionality gets activated. But then it resumes and the stock prices continue falling. Sis is panting and sweating the whole time. His trading account balance starts going in the red. He had taken a huge risk and a very high leverage, such that his lot sizes were impossible to fulfill. No one wants to buy his huge lot sizes. In a matter of days, he has lost more than $5 million and the price keeps plummeting. And this is just a first of many.
Japan is set to go to the polls in what could be an historic election.
All across northern Japan, they felt it. A violent magnitude 9.0 earthquake on March 11, 2011.
The volatility keeps getting worse, and thanks to his huge trading sizes and multiple entry points over several markets, his exits lag behind. Every decision he's ever made, his entire childhood, and all his hopes and dreams comes down to this one moment. He could lose it all. His increased risk appetite has brought him to the brink of extinction. And if he doesn't learn his lesson, it's only going to get worse. He has become a gambler at heart, something that the stock market hates. His assets reduced to $10 million from a high of $30 million. For the next 2 years, he tries to recoup what he's lost. But even before he gets it back, he gets bombarded by another crisis, the 2008 financial crisis. Far away from home, the world is coming to an end. After the losses he got in 2005, he decided to venture into other markets to diversify his risks. The New York Stock Exchange is one of them. And when Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers collapse, he's once again caught pants down. Mass fear spreads among investors.
Wall Street is seeing red today.
Investors are facing a tough day as stock prices tumble across major markets.
Stock prices plummet. At some point, Sis loses $6 million in one single day. His arrogance and unhealthy risk appetite have caught up with him. The heavy losses set him back multiple years of hard-earned gains. But if you think this will make him give up, think again. Because now more than ever, he becomes more motivated. He reviews all his mistakes since he started trading, and he notices something peculiar. It's not the markets, he is the problem.
He has maintained the same strategy he started with years ago and didn't change it to accommodate his newfound risk appetite. He needs a new day trading strategy to better fit his new investing style.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. He cannot lose his title as one of the most notorious Japanese traders. And after months of planning and analyzing, he comes up with the perfect trade. A trade that will earn him tens of millions of dollars. It's 6 minutes after the opening bell. Dozens of big-name stocks are still untraded in Tokyo. The telecommunications giant SoftBank is among those that haven't budged yet. Then the offer price falls 5%, then more, and still there are no takers. Then an order is filled, 300,000 shares at 6,714 yen, worth almost $20 million. Other buyers follow. The momentum builds up, and the stock ends the day as one of only two gainers in the Nikkei 225 stock index. Unbeknownst to everyone, that first trade that moved the Nikkei 225 was executed by one man in pajamas in his bedroom. So how did he do it? It's a chilly winter morning in Tokyo. The market is off to a slow start. Word on the street is that a recession is imminent. A reversal is coming. But that doesn't concern Sis. His eyes are on the technical aspects of the market. He notices something. The moving averages for the SoftBank stock prices have crossed over, and the price shows a strong indication it's going to go up. After further analysis, he makes his entry, but he is wrong. Immediately after making his entry, Capital Group hosts, a giant US fund manager, starts offloading their shares. The bank's share price starts going down. It goes down 1%. He doesn't budge. It will recover, he thinks. Another 2%. Something might be fishy, he thinks, but he lets it sit a few more days. 9 days later, the bank has shed 5% of its share price, and there are still no takers. It seems everyone expects it to rebound, but for it to rebound, it needs a slight nudge. Sis has already lost 2.5% from this trade alone. He gets out of the trade and takes his loss, but then he decides to do the unthinkable, betting against the market. He places a bid to buy the SoftBank shares at the low price. He has a strong conviction that the downward spiral is artificial, and he doesn't place a small bid, $20 million worth of shares, enough to move the Nikkei 225. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because soon after his order is filled, other traders follow suit. Their reasoning is if one person just bought $20 million of shares, then he knows something they don't.
This right here is the classical trader's mentality, moving with the masses. And Sis has capitalized on this knowledge. He knows people always follow the market.
A day where all the stocks in the Nikkei 225 have been falling, the SoftBank stock starts to rise. He doubles his trades and rides the wave as more and more traders follow suit. In that single day, his account grows by more than $33 million. And then, just as soon as he leaves the trade, SoftBank stock price plummets by 18%. It was the perfect trade. He had executed his entry points perfectly and exited just at the right moment. He manipulated manipulated the market to his advantage and left the rest of the traders suffering huge losses. He had moved the leading stock index of Japan, an absolute boss move that inflates his ego even further. He feels like a king, no one can beat him, and he flaunts it effortlessly. This trade alone earned him his enviable title, the most notorious Japanese day trader. From $1 million to $33 million in one day. What can beat that?